Today on the podcast, we talk Bird Box, Jordan Peele's Us, and Stranger Things. Now stay silent, stay blindfolded, because here we go. Pick Your Brain podcast from the Dimension Minds of TLEV Media. My name is Thomas.
My name is Mr. E.
And Happy New Year. Happy 2019. Woo! Mr. E, did you have a good break?
I did have a good break.
It was.
It was really, really good to sleep in.
That's good. Yeah. Well, now we're back, and we're going to be making more consistent podcasts for all of you. And this is something that we're going to be trying new this year, is that we're going to be doing one main topic for every podcast episode. But before that, we're going to be highlighting some horror news that went on through the week. Now, we've been off the air for about 3 weeks, so we're going to be doing a little bit of catch-up. First things first. Halloween Horror Nights Orlando released its dates for 2019.
They have, it's September 6th to November 2nd. So that's crazy. A lot longer.
It is.
Than ever before. So
I'm curious to see if having it earlier is going to get more people to attend the event, or is it going to make it so that less people are buying the frequent pass because they know that they can go like once in September, a couple times in October, and then also that last week.
Well, you know that now means the frequent fear pass is gonna be a lot more expensive.
Exactly. Especially if it's here in Hollywood.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be crazy if we have the same dates here in Hollywood.
It also could mean they're getting big
properties
this year.
Wow, what are the wait times gonna be like? That's crazy.
If they're extending it, I would think they're planning on getting something big, even bigger than Stranger Things.
Stranger Things Season 2. And speaking of Stranger Things, Season 3 has a little bit of an interesting twist now. So, of course, we have all the names of the episodes for Season 3 have been posted on Stranger Things' Twitter account. But as of this recording, it has been announced that there will be at Hawkins, Indiana time. There will be some announcement of the date. So we'll show the date to be right here.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, that's impressive. That's either really far into the year or very soon. That's cool. But we also did notice that on the Twitter profile, there's a change. What was it?
It's now 5 Wiz News or Wise News, something like
Channel
that.
5.
Yeah,
so
Channel 5.
I'm thinking that is a bit of a hint that there's going to be a lot more news coverage on all of these anomalies happening.
I think it's going to become
Hawkins.
big now. Like, someone's going to be spotted using their superpowers.
I think it's mainly because, like, remember at the end of Season 2, the Hawkins lab is now being kicked out.
Yeah.
Or the lab is being kicked out of Hawkins.
Yep.
So what's going to happen in season? Because now we know that this is taking place.
It's going to be TMZ News. That's what it's going to be.
What?
It's going to be TMZ News. Channel 5.
But we know that this is going to be taking place 2 years after the events.
Mm-hmm. During the summer, right?
It's going to be the summer. It's going to be the summer.
1985.
1985. So was it 2 years? Or maybe it's even just 1 year. But it's...
What were they again? In what year of high school were they in?
Well,
they weren't in high school yet?
They weren't in high school yet.
They're now going to be in high school.
But now they'll be in high school, so that's going to be interesting to see the characters now that 11 is adopted by Hopper. We'll see what's going to happen.
We'll see if anything big happened between those 2 years.
And then I just want to talk quickly about... now that we got Stranger Things out of the way, let's talk about Bandersnatch. This really won't be a review of Bandersnatch because a lot of other channels have done reviews of Bandersnatch already. I just think it's a really cool concept. It was like, it was fun. No, you didn't enjoy it?
No. It's a cool concept, but with this Black Mirror movie or episode, I don't want to spoil it, but really you don't have a choice.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I want to know if it's gonna be like that. If they're gonna do that again, an interactive
Mhm.
like that. If it's gonna actually be like, no, you don't have a choice. You think you have a choice, but you don't have a choice. Or you're actually gonna finally have a choice, like those little games and stuff like that. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's true because really, yeah, without spoiling the plot of Bandersnatch, a lot of it is the fact that the characters even realize that
Mm-hmm.
if you give too many choices, then it dilutes the story. So, yeah, but I think it's very interesting. The reason why I bring this up is because next to Bandersnatch is a new symbol that we've never seen before.
Yeah. It's
Almost
like,
it's like
an explosion
it
symbol
yeah, it
kind of
looks like an
thing.
explosion. And so is
Yeah.
that going to be a new category for Netflix shows,
Yeah.
Netflix episodes that they are going to be interactive?
Yep. So we'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know if Black Mirror is gonna do more, but maybe there'll be like other series.
I think it would be
interactives.
other series. Black Mirror doesn't like to repeat itself
No.
unless it's alluding to like it's an Easter egg
Yeah.
previous. Like even in Bandersnatch, like Metalhead.
Mhm.
Metalhead was
Yeah.
the name of a previous episode,
Yeah.
and it showed the same
Yep.
robot creatures, and that was the cover. So, yeah, I think it would be more like Easter eggs of
Mhm.
Bandersnatch
Mhm.
rather than recreating.
Yeah.
And then finally, let's talk about Jordan Peele's Us. The trailer was dropped Christmas morning. It was a wonderful Christmas present. Thank you, Jordan Peele. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is great. I will say that some people that we've noticed on social media have been trying to connect this to Get Out. Not everything has to be a universe. Not everything has to be in the same cinematic universe. Jordan Peele has even said that there is no connection to Get Out, that this isn't about race, but this is about the fact that we are our own worst enemies. That's really cool.
I think it might be better than Get Out.
Wow.
I haven't seen Get Out.
Okay, well, you need to change that.
But I'm more interested in this idea than in the Get Out idea.
How dare you?
Yes.
Get Out is an Academy Award-winning film.
But I think this could be an Academy.
It could.
Award-winning
At least
film.
from this trailer, I am very interested to see
Mhm.
this film.
I want to know if there's more like that, doppelgangers or something like that.
Oh, or is it just the family?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, like what brings them? Like, are they even real, or are they all in the family's head?
Yep. I don't know. We don't know.
What are
There's
they?
nothing. I mean, we know. You know the little boy's doppelganger, or whatever they're called, like twin self, has like burn marks and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
But like you said, even in the trailer, you see he likes to play with fire. So maybe there was like an accident in an alternate universe.
are they like polar opposites?
Oh.
You know, what if this kid is scared of fires and the other one is a pyromaniac?
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know. Something like that.
Possibly,
We'll see.
possibly. Yeah, we'll have to see. I will have to say, speaking of the boy, his mask, I don't know if it's supposed to be either a Chewbacca mask or a gorilla mask, but it looks very much like the same gorilla mask that M'Baku has in Black Panther, because to show the god of the Jabari tribe, and well, I mean, M'Baku's in this film.
He's the main character.
He's
we
the
think.
dad, so
I think he's gonna die.
oh wow. Okay, well, before, you know what? Let's talk about people who did die, and let's talk some Bird Box now.
Bird Box.
Spoilers. We are going to be talking about the entire film. We're going to be talking about everything. This is all on Netflix. Go ahead. If you haven't seen it yet, pause the podcast now.
And we'll talk about how we feel about the movie.
We're going to be talking about how we feel about it throughout. That's something else that we're going to be doing. Instead of going over the entire movie and then giving our opinion, we're going to be going through the movie and giving our opinion along the way.
I like that.
Yeah. So, okay. Spoilers. Are you okay with us talking about it? Mystery, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? All right. Let's go. So,
Sarah Paulson's in this movie.
Sarah Paulson's in this movie, and it's fantastic. I wanted to look into it because the fact that this is now she's in a film, and I wanted to see if she could actually be nominated for an Academy Award
for this year.
for this year. But
Dang,
no. In order to get supporting actor or actress, you have to be, I believe, more than half of the film.
That would make sense.
You have to be in more than half of the film in order to be nominated for that. And, well, she's only in it for I think it's 10, 13 minutes, minus the fact that you
Yeah.
hear her whispering throughout the whole film. But
I found it crazy how this film got so many big actors and actresses, but killed them off so quickly.
Yeah, so let's you know what? Let's dive
Yeah.
into it because I think that is absolutely something we need to talk about.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're gonna start with the fact that we first thing that we see is the river. The river is really the river is like a whole character in this film.
Yeah.
It's really the river is it's so
The
important to these
metaphor
characters.
of life.
It's a metaphor. And then we see title card after we hear the person saying, "Are there any children?" It's like on a walkie-talkie. We don't really know who this person is. And this title card it says Bird Box.
Yeah.
And then Sandra Bullock, and because we had subtitles on, we know that her character's name is Mallory. She's talking to these two children.
No, not Mallory from American Horror Story.
Not Mallory from American Horror Story, but this is Mallory from Bird Box. And she's talking to these two children. She's trying, this whole speech is about do not speak, do not remove your blindfolds.
Mm-hmm.
If you hear something, let me know. Do you understand? Do you understand? And she's really, really frantic about that.
How she's talking to them, you're just like, oh, okay, so these can't be her kids because she really is like.
Oh, I didn't think like that.
You didn't think of that
no,
way? I thought they were just like, she found these kids
Yeah.
on the streets or something to save them. And I was like, because she was just shouting at them. I was like, wow.
She
I was
was.
like,
I
okay.
think for me, it was more like, okay, there's this,
Yeah.
you got to get moving kind of thing, right? It wasn't so much like, wow, she's mean to these poor children. I think
yeah.
it was more like, okay, something just happened. They need to get going now. And then we see her she's counting the steps. She has like a rope that's guiding her while she's holding the children behind her, like holding their hands. And then we see that she mentioned something about a kitty to one of the kids, and then puts 3 birds in a box, and then boom, okay, bird box makes sense now. There's birds in a box. And then Sandra Bullock takes the kids outside. They're all wearing blindfolds, and she's counting the steps to this boat. She flips over the boat. They all get in the boat, and they start moving. And then we see 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
And it's Sandra Bullock. So
Painting.
Mallory,
She's a painter.
Painting.
She's a painter.
And we see Sarah Paulson. Coming in with groceries.
Yep.
And her name is Jessica.
And we find out that Mallory's pregnant.
Oh yeah, because we see a little baby bump while she's painting.
Yes.
And we hear that Jessica says that the groceries was really crazy because, well, haven't you been seeing the reports? Have you been seeing the news? Dum. Right, that was a cute little dum joke. And they see that there's mass suicides across
people
the
are
country.
killing themselves.
Some people, it says that the first spottings were in Romania, and then another report,
and then went to Europe, and then
one said like Russia, and then another said like it was coming from Europe, and then so what they do is oh okay.
I mean, they just
so as they're talking, because first we're not sure what their relationship is. And then Jessica says, like, I just got off the phone with Mom.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, they're sisters. Okay. And then, that's when we know it's Mallory's baby bump. And she says, and she's painting this painting. And Jessica's like, why do they all look so lonely? And she says, they're not lonely. They're just disconnected. They're all in their own universe. So then we realize that she feels very disconnected from this child. Because of this guy, Ryan walked out on her. Whatever.
I think it's also like a connection to what's going to happen later in the movie, how everyone is disconnected too.
I think so. It's really, I wanted to go back and watch this. We only just watched this before we filmed. But I wanted to see if the characters she paints reflect the characters that she ends up with. I think there's a parallelism there. Yeah. But then we see the sisters are at the hospital. Jessica's on the phone. And we see this other girl who's like in an orange jumpsuit in the glass hallway is on her phone. And they kind of look at each other and they smile. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, it's like, oh, you're on your phone. I'm on my phone too. Okay, cool. Small world. And then they talk to Dr. Lapham. And she's funny. She's a really funny pediatrician. And she's talking to the sisters about like, all right, well, in a couple of months, these wisecracks, we're going to be on the 3rd level, and we're going to be walking out. There's going to be 3 of us, not 2.
And then we
so-
also notice again that Sandra Bullock's character Mallory really doesn't want the kid because
Mhm.
she keeps talking about how like she doesn't want to give
Adoption.
birth, and then she gets an adoption flyer. Yeah.
And they keep talking about horses, and then we realize it's because Jessica works
Mhm.
at a horse ranch, and they were raised on a ranch,
Yeah.
so that's why they keep talking about horses. And then as they are walking out, first Mallory has like, she has an upset stomach because she's
Yeah.
pregnant, morning sickness, and so Jessica and her make jokes about it, just like haha, sister stuff, haha. And then they walk by the same glass hallway, and they see the orange.
Well, no,
jumpsuit lady.
because Jessica leaves Mallory in the bathroom. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
And Jessica does, but Jessica's walking, but we hear behind her
People are
the
freaking
doctors,
out.
the nurses are freaking
Mhm.
out. They're like, "Oh, it's on the second floor," or something like that.
Mhm.
Um,
And then you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's not just there. And then they see the orange jumpsuit lady banging her head against the glass.
yeah,
Like,
it's
whoa.
Mallory who's walking in, and she sees that happening.
Well, they're walking together, aren't they?
No, because
No?
Jessica's in the car. You remember? And then she's like, "Hey, we
Oh,
gotta
that's
go.
Right,
we gotta
that's
go."
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she went to go get the car.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the ambulance car that hits over the curb, and then it's just like absolute chaos. Jessica's driving, and they're talking about a horse again because she's gonna be late for the Staples, and then we hear Jessica start screaming, "What the F is that? What the F is that?"
What the heck is that?
And
Yeah.
then her eyes like turn this weird milky color.
And then she starts crying. Like she has watery
like
eyes
her
too.
watery- she gets like really,
you're like,
really
"Whoa,
sad. And
what
it's
the
weird because
hell?"
all that we've seen of her is like she's been really, really happy with her sister. And then
She's trying to steer to crash into something, and then Sandra Bullock's trying to fight back,
Mhm.
and then the car flips, and then
crazy. And then Jessica walks out of the car, and then she walks over, looking at her sister.
she's looking at her
crying,
sister, and then gets hit by a truck.
like a garbage
Garbage
truck.
truck.
There's no way you're gonna survive that. And so we realize, oh, okay, everybody here is being suicidal. And then there's this lady with John Malkovich. We find
Mhm.
out her name is Lydia a little bit later. She walks out trying to help Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, because she keeps falling, and she's
yeah,
pregnant,
people
so she
keep
keeps
hitting her.
falling on
Yeah.
her stomach and stuff like that.
And then what happens to her?
So she tries to go save or Mallory, and then she's like, "Mom," and she's like looking away, and we're like, "Oh shoot."
What does she say about her mom?
She's like, "Oh, don't go," or something like that. Don't go, and then she starts walking away from Mallory to a car that's on fire and sits in the car in the fire.
It's insane.
It's like, what the heck?
What?
But then that's
is
how we
this?
meet. What's his name? Gregory or something like that. After that,
No, we meet
No,
Tom.
Tom. There you go. We meet Tom because Tom comes and grabs Mallory. He's like, "We gotta go inside."
That's right. So then after Tom tells her, don't look, like, keep
Yeah,
your
just
eyes
keep
down.
your eyes down.
So I was like, wow, how did Tom already figure that
Yeah,
out?
they figured this out really quickly.
Yeah.
You know?
And so then we see from the inside, John Malkovich and B.D. Wong are inside this
Mhm.
house. It's like,
Mhm.
what?
All
What
right.
is this? His name is Greg. B.D.
Yeah,
Wong's
Greg.
character is Greg. And John Malkovich's character is Douglas.
Douglas, that's true.
So
Yeah.
Tom is going inside.
No. Remember, Tom and Jessica were not being let in, but then the
Jessica,
cop Mallory, and then there's like,
right.
"I'm a police. I'm a police. Let us in."
Lucy,
Lucy, yeah.
She's in the academy. She's not a full cop.
But she's
But
like,
she's
"I'm a
got
cop.
the
I'm a
track
cop."
suit.
And
Yeah,
then they're
she's
like,
I'm a cop in the tracksuit.
and then Greg's like, "Oh, we can't leave them
And
outside."
then, so then
let them
when
in.
when they're inside, we see that inside is Douglas, who of course is played by John Malkovich,
Mhm.
Greg, who's played by B.D. Wong, Felix, who's played by
Machine Gun Kelly.
Machine Gun Kelly. Wow. Okay. And then there's
don't know
also Cheryl. I don't know who plays Cheryl. I didn't write that down. Sorry.
Cheryl.
And I think
Who's
that's
Cheryl
it.
again? Oh, the old
Cheryl-
lady.
Yeah, Cheryl's the
Yeah.
old lady. I
Old
don't
lady
think there's
everyone
anybody. Oh, there's Charlie.
Yeah,
Charlie.
but she comes later.
Does Charlie come in later?
Yeah, remember she's at the door. She's like, "Please help me."
No, that's
and-
Olympia.
Oh, Olympia. Sorry.
Charlie's there, who's played by Lil Rel. This time,
Get
he's-
out.
He's not TS. He's not TS Mother effing A. He is part of a grocery store.
Super
He's a
mother
supermarket.
freaking market.
Yeah, super mother effing market. And so they're all there, and he starts immediately telling them how, this is the end of us. That every religion, every community in the ancient world had a story about the end of time.
The end of the
This
world.
is what it was like. He said how pregnant ladies would be seeing their children in the shape of like goats and other animals, and he's like telling this to poor Mallory, and then Tom asks like Mallory, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yeah.
And then because she had seen a horse on her way in, so she's like,
Oh,
really
I also
distraught.
learned Tom is from Moonlight.
Tom is from Moonlight.
Tom is from Moonlight. The
I don't-
actor's
I don't
from
have the
Moonlight.
actor's name
Yeah,
down.
he's from Moonlight.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So that's
This
why,
is
because
like-
I watched an Ellen talk show with Sandra Bullock, and she talked about how
Oh.
Tom was such a great actor, even as a person, and he's from Moonlight.
Okay, all right.
So
Well,
there you go, guys.
Good job.
I did my
researching.
research to
I
find
wish you found the name though. That would have been just a little bit better. But that's
Sir something. No, I don't know.
But then we see that Mallory tells the group what Lydia saw, or Lydia said right before about her mom. And Douglas, we don't know if they're married. We assume that they were married.
Yeah, because at first glance, Lydia looks super young, but then I think because we backed it up, she is a lot older. So
Yeah,
I
she could
think
be
they're
John
together.
Malkovich's age.
Yeah.
And he says her mom's been dead for 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa.
Okay.
And then it goes to 6 hours on the river.
Yeah.
So now we
we keep getting these jump cuts back and forth.
What do you think of that editing style?
I like it because at the 6 hour mark, I remember that person who starts attacking them on the boat, right? Is that at that point?
Is it?
I don't know.
No,
No, it wasn't.
not yet.
What happens at
That's
the
on
6 hour
14
mark?
hours. At the 6 hour mark, that's when the three birds are in the box. Mallory keeps talking on the walkie-talkie, and then because she's like, "Hello, this is Mallory. Hello, this is Mallory." The wind starts going.
Right. So is this
Mallory.
after this? Do they go to the supermarket afterwards?
After this is then we go back to the fact that we hear that it's 3 days after all the events.
Yeah.
And that's where we meet Olympia.
Okay.
Olympia meets
Ah,
you.
okay.
So what do you?
So that only jump I would say does not make sense. The other jumps make a lot more sense because
Okay.
it's like it connects right before we find out the answer.
Okay.
Like I'll explain it at the
Yeah,
14-hour part
I
and stuff
agree.
like that.
There are some that it works for, but I think this one and there's another one where I believe it's the 28-hour mark that I feel like could have just completely been removed.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
at the 28 mark, we see the kids are sleeping, and she's like, "Hello, this is Mallory. Hello." And then it cuts back. Like there's really nothing else happening.
I think the main reason they have that is because it also shows later on in the past, they were having the exact same troubles trying to contact people, right, on the walkie-talkies.
Sure.
I mean, that connection, yeah, sort of works, but yeah, I would agree. The 6 hour mark, I can't really tell what the connection is for that one.
I think the only significant part of the 6 hour mark is the fact that we realize that whatever this wind is, this alien wind can mimic.
it
voice.
talks. It's kind
It
of
talks to
weird.
people.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's actually talking to people.
Well,
or
it
if
talks as the
goes-
dead people.
Yeah, does it go in the brain? Though?
Yeah,
Like, is that
yeah.
like all in her head? Because
Mhm.
and that's something I'll talk a little bit later on, where the kids are there too,
Mhm.
and they're only talking to Mallory. Like Ken. Oh wait, no, never mind. Okay, I just remember. I'll talk.
We'll
about
keep going.
there's a
Olympia.
whole
They
issue.
got
Yeah, so
Olympia.
Olympia's here.
Yeah.
Olympia. We see that Olympia is also pregnant. John Malkovich didn't want her to come in, but Tom did because Tom's a nice guy.
Tom's a really nice guy.
He brought Olympia in, and we find out that Olympia is also pregnant, and she is due October 1st, where Mallory is
due
due
September.
at the end of September.
End of September.
So they're very, very close, and that makes sense. Oh, okay. There's 2 kids. One is Mallory's. One is Olympia. What the heck happens to Olympia?
That's probably the 6 hour mark then. It's just to make connection with the kids.
What do you mean?
Because I don't remember what happens in the 6 hour mark on the lake. Whatever.
Yeah.
Because I would just think I'm trying to make the connection for at least
I
that
get it, I
one.
get it.
Because
Like
all the
trying
other
to-
ones I
yeah.
can make a connection.
Then Greg has the idea of, okay, what if this only affects you when you're actually looking at it? But if you were to look through a screen,
Does it still work?
maybe it couldn't hurt you. This, I think, was probably my favorite part of the writing for the script.
Okay.
Because this does exactly that, right? Because it reminds me a lot of what James Wan and Leigh Whannell did with Insidious,
Okay.
which was that like, okay, if it's just a haunted house, then get the hell out
Get
of
the
the
hell
house.
out. Yeah.
But
No.
it's not the kid. It's not the house. It's the kid.
Yeah.
Here it's like, okay, well, why don't you just look through a monitor?
Maybe you can just see it. Nah.
Greg BD Wong is immediately turned.
But we can't forget about they tied down Greg too because he's like, I'll do it, but I don't want to attack you guys or try to kill myself.
Sure.
So tie me down onto the chair and don't let me like get out of my chair.
But we
then
see that his eyes, as soon as something's on the screen, he's like, "Where are you, mother effers? Where are you?" And then his eyes do the exact same thing that Sarah Paulson's eyes did. And then we hear a thud.
Yeah.
A thud.
Everyone from downstairs hears a thud, and then they're like, "Oh,
and then they go up, and then immediately,
yeah, he smashed his face like on a
head.
glass desk or something.
I think it's like on the fireplace or something.
Yeah, something that's like automatic KO
and
right there.
they're all like, "All right, turn off the monitor." And then so Mallory walks over, and then she realizes that her hands are now covered in Greg's blood.
Yeah.
And wow, I forget. John Malkovich makes like some stupid comment about.
He says,
the glass wall.
No, well then he says, well that's
No,
one
no,
less.
no,
No,
that's Charlie. That's Charlie.
Okay.
Shh.
Okay.
I mean,
Shoot.
of course, all of you
My
have
bad.
already seen that part.
My bad. Okay,
We'll
keep
get to
going.
that point. And then Mallory's going to bed, and Olympia's like, I read that pregnant women should sleep next to each other because
the kid
you
feels
can't be
stress.
lonely. Yeah, and they can feel stress. So they sleep together, and Olympia's like telling, about the names like Ariel and Jasmine, and really wanting to name her daughter Cinderella so she can call her Ella. And I was like, okay, Disney nerd alert, but that's fine. And then she's like, "Oh, what did you and your husband think?" But
she doesn't have a husband.
Mallory doesn't have a husband. So, uh-oh. And
Yeah,
then,
it's a cool little part.
yeah, and then Mallory walks into the laundry room and sees Felix and Lucy completely naked.
Yeah, I didn't see this part. I was getting water, so
It was pointless. It really did.
well, yeah, because Machine Gun Kelly earlier was like, "Hey, we're alone," so and then she's like, "Not a chance."
Exactly.
But
So it's just like,
I guess they
of
ended up
course,
together.
right? You never see that. It's not like this is done in every other horror movie where two people are locked in a room together and they're like, not a chance. And then somehow they end up together because it's the end of the world. Because there's something traumatic. But Tom's like, yeah, you'll never unsee that. So Mallory and Tom are like, they're joking around. They're having fun.
Yeah.
And then we go back to 14 hours on the river. And this is the part that you're talking about where the man starts talking to the kids and Mallory in the boat.
At first, we're like, "Oh, it's probably the wind again," because they're on the boat, and then you hear this guy calling. He's like, "Hello, I got food and everything. Don't worry, I'm safe." And then we're like, "Oh, it's got to be
But
the
just
wind."
take off your blindfold.
And then Sandra Bullock's like, "Guys, get down, get down, get down." He's like telling the kids to hide, and then this guy comes over, it's hillbilly, who's not wearing any blindfold, and we're like, "What the heck?" And then he starts attacking Mallory. Sandra Bullock character, but she's still blindfolded, but she's using a gun to shoot at him, right?
She shoots a couple of times, and
Yeah.
then she pulls out a machete.
Yeah, and then she pulls out a machete, but I remind you, she's blindfolded, so this is insane. You basically have her fighting without even seeing, and then this dude trying to get on the boat to get the kids to look, and then he's like, does he say, "Let them look, it's beautiful," or something like that?
I think it's something, yeah.
Something like that. He's like, "Just open your eyes, it's beautiful." And then she cuts him in the throat. Yeah. And then he falls down and then he dies.
But what was it about his eyes?
But we see his eyes are a lot different. They're not red or anything. They're colorful. They're like green. No? What was wrong
You
with
would
yours?
think that they'd be green, right?
Right.
They're normal.
Oh.
That's my biggest problem
Interesting.
in this movie, and we'll talk a little bit more when we get to Gary, is that there is no consistency with how this affects people.
Right.
Like, we see the people who immediately go into these suicidal rampages, like Jessica, like Greg, and a couple other characters down the line, is that their eyes immediately, like, it gets all cloudy, like grayish, and they kill themselves. the people who somehow are able to see, there's no consistency. And I'll talk.
Yeah,
more about it when
we'll
we
get to that
Yeah.
part anyways. Yeah, but anyways, so that is a great segue into now. They go back to the past, and they're talking about how they need food.
Yes, exactly.
And so
to the supermarket.
yeah, so now they're like, we need to somehow get to the supermarket, or we need to get food somehow. And then they look at
Charlie.
is he the one who works at the
Yeah.
supermarket? Yeah. They look at
Little
Charlie
Bell.
and they're like, hey, we gotta go to the supermarket.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
I'm not going. And so but then Tom has the cool idea of
Oh, yeah, this is
blacking
pretty
out
cool.
all the windows,
Yeah.
the reverse light, and the way that they know that they are driving is by looking at the GPS.
So they're lucky they have a new like 2018 Jeep or
it's a pretty good
It's
sponsor
a-
for this
yeah.
car. Like, it's the car of the apocalypse. You can survive with this car.
and I thought it was cool too that they covered the backup camera too on the back.
Exactly.
It was like, oh, that's a good that's a little good connection right
so
there.
as they're driving, there's a couple of times where they roll over something, and Tom's like, "It was a speed bump."
Yeah, you guys,
Uh-huh.
don't worry, it's just a speed bump.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Tom was probably the one who's like more like the family guy in the whole like group.
He was
if you
very
think
much like a
about it.
dad.
Yeah.
He was a dad figure.
Yeah.
I think so. He was very caring for Mallory, very caring for Olympia and the other characters as well.
Well, we'll find out why he's caring for Mallory when they're inside the supermarket.
True. And then but they stop immediately, like not immediately, but when they're driving by like what looks like a school, and the creatures like surround the car because they know we know because of the proximity alert going off in all directions, like beep 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 beep, beep. And then we see like the shadow going above the sunroof.
This wasn't afterwards.
No.
Oh.
And so it's pretty cool. I guess what we are supposed to notice from that is the fact that these creatures do have shape. And I think that's about the only time in this entire movie
Yeah.
that we see the shapes of these creatures. But other than that, I think it was a cool sequence. It was a cool sequence.
No, it's cool. But anyways, they go to the supermarket. They're like, this is heaven because there's all different types of foods, and then now Tom. No, not Tom. Oh God, I keep forgetting his name. Yeah, it's Tom, the one who likes people.
Tom.
He starts hitting on
Mallory.
Mallory. And she's like, I could have been your babysitter. And he's like, yeah, my hot babysitter. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, dude.
The cool thing about this part is because they talk about how Tom talks about how his sister is in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And how Mallory grew up in Stockton, which are very close.
And she's like, oh yeah.
So we realize, this is all taking place in
California. Yep.
Oh, wonderful.
So it came all the way down to California.
Yes, so yes, they flirt. And then we see Douglas is happy that he can get all the booze that he wants.
He gets drunk.
He gets drunk immediately. Then we see that there are the birds there. Mallory grabs the birds in the bird cage, all three birds.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, birds.
Yeah, and my thing was like, I don't know much about birds, but 5 years, isn't that a long lifespan for a bird?
Not necessarily. I think
No?
some birds are
Live
old,
long
live
time?
long. Yeah, I would
Okay.
think so.
Because like those tiny little birds, I was like, how the hell did
Well,
they?
through all the crap those birds went through, I'm very surprised that
That
they
they still-
survived everything. Because usually after a while,
Mhm.
I thought when the girl's banging her head against the glass, I thought that was like the symbol of birds. Because when birds want to kill themselves, they go straight into a window.
Oh,
I thought that was a little connection.
I didn't pick up on
Yeah.
that.
But
Nice, that's a good one.
that's what I was like. Oh, okay. So I get that's the bird connection. But also, it's like these birds went through so much crap. What
Yeah.
you don't think they wanted to kill themselves too? They probably just try to suffocate themselves. I don't know.
They were fine with all of this.
But
That's
anyways.
a great point. I
But
didn't
yeah.
even think about that.
And that's the first. That's the first death
Wow.
too.
Yeah, and then so Douglas is now drunk, and he's like telling them, let's just stay here. Let's just stay in this supermarket. We
Yeah.
have like a year's worth of supplies.
He's like,
We don't need to go back. And Mallory's like, we need to go back. What
Yeah,
about
we
the
got the
rest of the
others.
group? Because it was only like half of the group went.
Yep.
And he was like, we are making the apocalypse great again. I was
He's
like,
like, Nice, dude. So it's present time.
It's exactly. There you go. See, this was all taking place in 2018.
So we found out it's in California and in
2018. And then there's the fish fingers incident. Remember how there's a thud against the against the door.
This part's so sad.
Against the door
Yeah.
and
then you hear this guy. He's like, "Hello, could you
yeah,
save
like,
me?"
someone locked me in. Can you let me in? Someone locked me in here.
And
then Charlie's like, fish fingers?
yeah, and they're all like,
Because he's called fish fingers because he worked in the fish section cutting up fish. And he says how fish finger used to do time. So like he was
he was in prison.
incarcerated.
Yeah, he's kind of a cuckoo.
So interesting. Yeah.
And then he's like,
not
okay.
so cuckoo as he was, or at least we don't know that, but we know that he was incarcerated. And what happens after Tom opens for fish fingers?
So really, I don't think they really wanted to fully open up for fish fingers. Remember, because he's like, oh, fish fingers. Okay, we'll help you. They start opening up, and then when they see he's not blindfolded, and then he starts pushing the door open, and then he's like using his full weight, and he pushes it open, and then we see Charlie. He's like, F it, and he runs at Fish Fingers, and he like tackles him through the door, and then they close the door, and then we hear Fish Fingers says, Charlie, open your eyes, look how beautiful it is.
And then we hear
and then we
see
hear
a
whoosh.
pool of blood. And then immediately we start hearing again, let me in. I'm locked out. Help. Can you let me in?
It's
so
like,
whoa,
crap. Okay. So my question is really like, how are they decided?
Yeah, how
because I think there is a part later where they're all inside the house and they start talking about this house. Some of them, their eyes are like, oh no, they don't talk about them until what's his
Gary.
name comes. Yeah.
But so now the bird. So then we find out by this that the reason why something was off about Fish Fingers.
The birds
were going crazy. So the birds sense.
Well, yeah, because then Mallory's like, the birds can know when crazy stuff happens.
Wait, no, something's happening.
Yeah, and then he starts going,
So then they go back to the house, and Malkovich, being the a-hole that he is.
Because they're like, where's Tom?
Yeah, Cheryl
where's
asks,
Charlie?
where's Charlie? And they're like, well, that's one novel that I won't have to read because he was going to write a novel about the end of the world. And Mallory was like, he just saved us, you a-hole.
Yeah.
And then we see Malkovich. It's like at night. Malkovich is like drinking alone. Oof. And Mallory tells Douglas how she reminds him, or he reminds her of her father. And I was like, wait, there's gonna be a bald joke. And she's like, but he had more hair. And I was like, no. He's like, no. She said the haircut's different. I was like, yep, there it is.
Yeah.
And then while all of this is happening, Lucy and Felix escape through the garage with the car.
Yeah, and we never see them again.
And
that's the part I'm like, what the hell? What was the point? Where were they going?
Because other movies that have done this, like our favorite version of this movie, This Is the End, when Danny McBride is kicked out, we see Danny McBride.
We see him afterwards that he's become a freaking
cannibal.
Cannibal.
He's a cannibal.
Yeah.
And he eats James Franco's nose. We get that closure with Danny McBride.
Yeah.
We don't get that closure with Felix and Lucy in this movie.
We have no clue. Like, did they go back to the supermarket? Or are they just going to camp there? It's like...
Exactly. Because, Lucy was on the run.
Yeah.
She knew about the supermarket.
Are they going on a honeymoon or
whatever?
What the hell?
But then we see that it's 24 hours on the river. Mallory stops rowing, and because she hits a school bus, and she yells boy.
Yeah.
And boy falls over with the backpack, and she grabs him.
I'm like, boy, oh,
and
okay.
So, but the backpack had the food and blankets in it. So what they have to do is they wash ashore. Mallory goes using her fishing line to hook up to the boat. She goes in and she leaves boy and girl, which are not just their assigned genders, but this is also
names.
This is also their names that they were assigned. And so she goes into this place, and you and I have conflicting views of what this place is.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like because it's close to a lake. I
Uh-huh.
thought maybe it's like a summer camp thing.
Mhm. And I was saying maybe it's just a school.
But also, it looks really creepy to be a summer camp. But it also
Mhm.
has been a while since it's probably been run.
Yeah, 'cause it's been 5
So-
years, right? Yeah.
Also, I was thinking it was a crazy person's place or some crap like that.
You
but
mean an asylum.
an asylum, a cuckoo house. But yes, an asylum.
But then as she's walking through, when she enters, she takes off her fishing line and leaves it at the door. And we see later
Right, because
on.
she doesn't have that much anymore.
No. So and then we see when she's got a bunch of non-perishables packed into to like a blanket, and she's carrying it over her shoulder. We see a shadow behind one door, and then on the other, where her fishing line is kind of attached to, we start hearing the metal clanging.
What I'm very
against it.
surprised is we see the door has a big slit. How did the thing not fit through? Is it like a big monster then?
Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We never know in this movie.
So I'm guessing it's not just straight up wind, because then if it was
Right.
just wind, it could have fit through
Yeah.
and then attack her.
Good
but
point. Good point.
yeah,
But then at this time, girl says something's wrong with Mallory, so she grabs. For some reason the rope that the boat was to hook onto, like to be ashore.
Yeah.
She puts it around her waist and she starts walking. Very cute little girl. She's like
but it's like somehow really
adorable,
long
but
rope.
somehow it's really long rope. She gets pretty far, and then she's hearing noises, and she's like, Mallory, and then she's about to be touched by whatever this wind thing is, and we see immediately she gets pulled back,
Yeah.
and it's Mallory like grabbing her, bringing her back to the boat, and she was like, "What did I tell you? Never
Yeah,
come
no,
after
no,
me.
yeah.
Say it. What happens if I
save
if-
yourself.
Yeah, what happens if I'm taken, or if you can't find me? What do you do?" She's like, "Save myself."
Yep.
And I was like, dang, Mallory, you're so mean to this poor little girl. And then we get a flashback. It's at night. Tom's talking about his time in Afghanistan and how there was this guy who would walk his kids to school
still
during all of this
through war.
yeah, during all this chaos. And so he said how he likes to think that this guy is still walking his kids to school.
And he was also given a necklace by the little boy.
Yes.
that
No,
he used to
was it
walk.
the little boy or was it by the dad?
One of the two.
Because what his job became was like to escort them to
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
That was a sweet story. And what Mallory does at the end is she puts his hand on her belly, because that's what he said back in the supermarket. What
Yeah.
really calmed him was that he'd put his hand on his sister's belly because she's
Knowing
expecting
there's
her
like
fourth
other
child.
life and stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And then we get the 28 hours mark, like I mentioned earlier. Nothing happens other than we see the kids sleeping and Mallory's still on the walkie-talkie. And then it goes back to the flashback. Terrible. Like, honestly, I'm going to cross it out right here. This did not need to be done. Whoever edited this poor film, that was bad. That was bad. That could have been cut out right there. That could have been cut out. Flashback. Gary. We get introduced to Gary. Olympia lets Gary in. John Malkovich immediately freaks out because he was like, why the hell are you letting more people in? This is not an orphanage. So Gary tells a story about how...
No, but you remember he wanted to kill or get rid of Gary, and then what's her name? Sandra Bullock pulls out
Mallory
the gun.
yeah, grabs the shotgun.
Or was that with Olympia?
I think that was with Olympia.
Yeah, that was probably with Olympia, because then she talks about that.
Her
with,
childhood
Yeah.
with Tom, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
never mind.
It's more about character building. But in this situation, yeah, Olympia lets Gary in, and Gary tells about how there are people who are not blindfolded, who are from an insane asylum,
Yeah.
who are walking around and trying to force people to look.
So I'm wondering if it's like, is it? So are only crazy people are allowed to look at this thing
And
and
be
then
fine.
be fine?
I don't know.
There's no connection, because you have fish fingers who's went through prison. Like, is it the people who have done bad in their life? Are they allowed to look at this thing and then they are
I wouldn't
fine?
say that they've done bad. Careful with that mystery. I would say that is it people who have been pushed aside by society.
Okay.
Like, is that what it is? Like they've been excommunicated from society, and now in this new era, are they the only ones allowed to see?
Yeah, but the thing is that doesn't work with What we're about to talk about.
with Gary.
Because you remember he's like a rich dude or something like that?
Yeah, he pretends, or maybe he just pretends to do that.
Yeah.
But he talks about the psychos of Northwood, how they don't need blindfolds. Douglas tries to kick Gary out, but Cheryl knocks Gary out. Knocks Douglas out with like a vase over the head. It's nice to see Cheryl do something because she hasn't really done anything for this entire movie. Olympia to Mallory does like this whole speech about, promise me that if I'm not here, you'll look over my baby. Promise me. Mallory doesn't make Olympia do the same promise, so I think this was really just supposed to be for the movie, like a cliche thing. At that point, Mallory gives Olympia a Hello Kitty keychain doll from the
baby
supermarket.
shower gift or something like that.
Exactly. And this ties back to the fact that at the beginning, when Mallory says, "Did you get Kitty?" And then we see in the flash forward, then when they're on the rapids, one of the kids, the little girl, is holding the Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, girl is Olympia's daughter. And then we flash forward to the rapids that are about to happen. And she says, okay, in order to do this, one of us is going to have to look. And so she's looking back and forth between the two children. Girl says, I'll do it. No, not girl. Boy says, I'll do it. And she's like, no, I'm going to choose.
I'll decide when we're there.
And we see that girl looks very, very sad and very, very scared because we're like, okay.
She's gonna decide
so she's going to decide girl. But then she tells them to put their blindfolds back on and they go down the rapids. Then we get back to the flashback that the calendar in the background, while they're all dancing to this music, the calendar says September.
Yep.
And after they're dancing, Olympia starts having contractions, and then as Mallory goes to get the water, Mallory's water breaks. Haha, very funny.
He's like, oh shoot, they're both
they are
going
both
through labor.
in labor, and then so Tom is going to help. They're all going upstairs to deliver babies.
Yeah.
Gary's left in the living room, and we see him pull out like this sketch pad. And he puts out
a bunch
like
of pictures,
9 really creepy drawings out on the table.
And he's starting to draw one, and then he looks at the birds, right?
He looks at the birds, but I think it's also because he's looking up and he hears a baby because Mallory just gave birth to a boy, and so that just.
But he grabs the birds and he puts them in a fridge.
In the freezer, yeah.
In the freezer.
And then we see that Douglas is stuck in the garage.
And then Douglas is like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, and then we see his eyes. His eyes are this green spiral, and it's really creepy. And it also doesn't make any fucking sense. Because why the heck are his eyes a different color? But
maybe they're all different levels. I don't know.
Different levels of what?
They're ranking.
So he's like a super master that can force people to see more than like.
But anyways, yeah. Now he's starting to rip off the newspapers on the windows.
Yeah,
right?
to expose because he wants to see outside.
Yeah, and he looks outside, and then the guy's like, "What are you doing?"
And then he opens the garage.
Yeah.
He opens the garage, and then.
Tom
comes down and he knocks out Tom.
Yep, knocks out Tom right away.
And then right after Mallory's up there with Cheryl and Olympia gives birth to a little girl, and Gary asks to see the children.
He's like, wow.
He sees the children. Yeah, so beautiful. And then he goes to the window and he's like, show them. Show the babies.
He rips them open.
Yeah. And Olympia immediately looks. And her eyes just go to that cloudy gray.
Yep. And then she's starting to walk over to the window with her baby. And then Mallory's like, please, let me just see your baby really quickly, please. And I don't know how she controlled herself to give the baby.
Yeah, I don't know. But then she runs out and falls out the window. Mm-hmm. And then Gary forces Cheryl to look. And Cheryl's holding the scissors that she used to cut the umbilical cords. And she's forced to look outside, and then she stabs herself in the neck. And then as Gary's about, because now Mallory with the 2 babies is under the sheets, and he's about to force Mallory to hand over the children. Douglas shows up.
Yeah, how did he get up? I don't know, but he had his shotgun again.
Yep.
And then he's
eyes are
shooting without
closed.
looking
Yep.
because he has blindfolds on. And then the guy's just jumping back and forth, messing with him. And then he
stabs
Stabs,
Douglas
Douglas.
with those pair of scissors.
Oh.
And it's like, oh no. And then we see because he fell down the stairs,
Oh yeah, he
or he
goes
fell off the rail.
because he jumps and
Yeah.
grabs and like tackles him through the rails. Yeah.
So then Tom is starting to gain
Waking up,
conscious again, and he grabs the shotgun, but we see that Gary's also grabbing the shotgun. So we don't know what happens until we
We
hear.
go back to Mallory. Yeah, we go back to
Yeah.
Mallory and the kids, and then we hear 2 shots.
No. Oh yeah, from
Maybe-
her perspective, and then we see
Yeah.
someone like trying to like approach Mallory, and she says, "Please, please don't hurt us. Please don't hurt us." And we see that
It's a blanket that
the
drops
blankets
on
are-
top of her.
Yeah, no, it covers the window,
Yeah.
and then we're like, "Yay, Tom lived! Woo!"
Yeah, because
So-
then it's Tom's face. He's like, "It's okay, it's okay."
So then
Yeah,
Tom and Mallory are stuck with the 2 babies. So that we see 5 years later.
Now they do
so
a fast forward 5 years
yay.
later.
Mallory's training the kids outside to be like, you hear the sounds. If the
These-
sound is far away, then that means you're real. If the sound is really soft, that means it's really close. If the sound's really loud, that means it's far away.
Yep.
Tom is using the walkie-talkies that we saw him pick up from the supermarket 5 years
Mhm.
earlier. Mallory's doing a run, and she notices that more and more people are without blindfolds. Uh-oh.
Yeah. And also Tom and Mallory are together now.
Yeah, because after the kids go to bed, they go to bed. Heyo! And so finally Tom gets what he wishes. And as they're sleeping, the walkie-talkie goes off, and Rick Grimes, oh, I'm sorry, it's just Rick.
Oh God. Yeah, that's true.
Rick Grimes calls Tom on the walkie-talkie to tell them about that they have a sanctuary.
They have a sanctuary.
Yeah, that he asked the 3 questions. No, he doesn't ask the 3 questions. But it's the same speech from the beginning about, are there any children with you? Because I don't think you can do this with children.
Yeah.
And
You have to go through this
'cause
river. The only way there is through a
someone
river.
will have to look through the river. Someone will have to look during the rapids. So then Tom is telling a story of the trees and him climbing the big oak trees to boy and girl. Mallory snaps at Tom because why is he
Why are you
trying
telling
to
stories
yeah.
about having fun outside and climbing
gonna
trees
get
and
them
stuff,
killed.
yeah.
And Tom's like, well, if they don't have anything to believe in, what's the whole point?
And no, but then he was like, "No, but you want to know what was at the top of that oak tree? Were 5 birds in a nest,
Yeah.
and they all just flew away.
Yeah.
I don't
so
know if that's supposed to
basically,
be them
it's
also
them.
or something
It's
like
of
that.
course it's supposed to be
Yeah.
them.
So.
It's all about
Them.
symbolism. It's about
Symbolism.
them. Yeah.
This is also foreshadowing for later.
True.
Yes.
True. So then, so they do a supply run the next morning because Tom says, "Okay, now."
Yeah, since you're seeing more people, we're gonna go together.
Yes. So they all go. They find Pop-Tarts, and boom, Pop-Tarts sponsor the food of the apocalypse.
Yeah, and they're like, "This is what strawberry tastes like." I'm like, "Oh, great!
This is what
strawberry
tastes like.
Pop-Tarts. God dang.
You don't like strawberry? It's okay.
No.
It's okay.
So they have. That's how they try for strawberry.
Yeah. So then we see
That pulls up.
Yep, there's unblindfolded people led by, I forget his name in Ant-Man, and I forget the actor's name, but I was just like, hey, that's the guy from Ant-Man. So,
Yeah, he pulls up.
but their eyes are normal.
Well, we also forgot that Tom tells Mallory to take the kids and run to go
Mhm.
back.
Because he sacrifices.
And he says, if I'm not back in 15 minutes, take the boat, go on the river.
But all of their eyes are fine. Of course, Tom is blindfolded.
But he's a pro because you remember he fought in the war.
Yes, because he fought in
Yes, so he
Afghanistan.
can shoot
And he
blind.
says, okay, screw it. He takes off his blindfold, shoots everybody. He's fine for a little bit.
He's doing great. And then he looks up.
Yeah, and then his eyes get all gray. And when he goes
But he's a strong soldier.
face to face with the Ant-Man hacker,
He used
he
as much strength as he had left to
shoots
shoot it.
them, and then he shoots himself. And of course, they hear
so
that.
sad.
And so then it's 15 minutes pass by, and then Sandra Bullock starts crying.
Mhm.
And then we're back to the beginning of the film because she begins her speech to the children about, all right,
Yeah.
do you understand? You need to keep your blindfolds on. You can't say
Okay, blah,
anything."
blah, blah.
Blah,
And
blah,
then
blah.
fast forward, now they're on going through the rapids.
Yeah, 42 hours on the river. And this is when she's like, okay, Now I'm gonna decide who looks. And then
And she
look,
says-
and then there's like a pause, and then girl very reluctantly, very scared, says, "I'll look." And she pauses again because then she thinks about how Tom said, if they don't have something to believe in, and then he was like, "I love you," because he gave Mallory his necklace.
Oh yeah, the necklace. She has the necklace now.
So she's like, nobody's looking. So they go down the rapids, not
Blindfolded.
blindfolded, and that looks like that's just insane.
Yeah.
Doing the rapids.
And I
like
learned so they didn't actually go through rapids, but the whole river thing, they were actually blindfolded.
that. Oh wow.
She could barely see out of the left eye just in case, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, they were actually blindfolded. The
That's
actors and
crazy.
actresses. Yeah.
That's really really crazy.
Yeah.
And then of course, because they're going down the rapids and they don't see, they flip, and immediately my thought is the birds. The birds are
And I
dead.
was like, frick.
But we see that girl still has the birds attached to her. Boy,
Oh, we forgot to mention the bell.
oh whatever.
Whatever. There's a bell,
There's a
that
bell.
was shown in the beginning of the movie. And
No,
then-
not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning.
When she's training the
Yeah.
kids. Yeah.
And the bell is girl.
You immediately called like that's gonna be something
Yeah, I
for
was like,
later.
oh, we're gonna need to know this. And then the girl's using the bell, so Mallory knows where she is,
Yeah.
and she goes to her, picks up both of them.
It's cool. Yeah, they all get reunited.
But now they have to walk.
Now they have to walk because they hear the birds, and that was
Yep.
one thing that Rick Grimes said on the walkie-talkie was that you'll know where we are. Just follow the sound of the
Yeah.
birds. So they follow the sound of the birds, and then the wind.
The wind's like, oh,
the wind
no,
starts
try
picking
one
up.
more time.
And then freaking Sandra Bullock trips like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Once by herself falling down the hill. Another she trips holding holding boy, and then holding both of them. She
Okay,
trips.
she's blindfolded. Okay,
Right,
and,
but it's
and
like-
it's a forest.
It
Come
is-
on,
it is a
Thomas.
force, I agree, but it's like, come on. And then because she keeps hearing the voice of Jessica, her sister,
Yeah.
telling her to take off the blindfold.
That scene went very long. If you think about it, it was a bit long
It was
for
too long.
what was happening because there was many times the wind was trying to mess with boy and girl
Yeah.
as Mallory talking.
She's like, I thought I could take off my blindfold. She's like, take off your blindfold. And she's like, no, don't take off your blindfold.
And then she starts, and then she finds boy, and then boy tells her she doesn't trust you or something like that, or
yeah,
she's scared of you.
Girl's
And then so
scared
she
of-
starts
of
telling the
Mallory.
story that Tom was going to
She
tell her.
says- yeah,
she
she says-
finishes it. She's like, he saw us at the tree. He saw birds at the tree. He saw thousands of kids having fun and stuff like that. And I don't know how this is working, but it's working somehow.
I just like how she's like, and I love you, boy
Yeah.
and girl.
Yeah.
Still
And I
doesn't
love you
give up.
so much. And
I
then
love you
and
so
she
much,
finds
boy and
girl, and then
So then they somehow outrun the wind. Don't try this at home.
no,
You-
because
you-
then Tom starts calling out her name.
that's true. And you were like,
Like,
oh, maybe he's alive, but
Mallory!
no, there's no way he's alive.
I
He
said
shot off
there was
his
no
head.
way, but she didn't know that.
That's true. That's true.
So, anyways, they get to the door and they're knocking like crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and they still a bunch of voices are going. And she's like, "Take the kids at least. Please
Yeah,
just take the
because
kids."
the wind's going crazy. Can't even hear the birds anymore.
And
Yeah.
then the doors open up, and then all 3 of them are pulled in,
Mhm.
and they're like, "You guys have your blind. Let me see your eyes. Let me see your eyes." Which I don't get.
Huh.
Because okay, so they're like, yeah, let's check your eyes, right? But you remember you just said that some of them their eyes are not
Yeah.
messed up.
Yeah. That's my big thing about
So-
this too.
And can't they tell that with what's his name's eyes at the beginning? Greg? Or
They
what is it?
couldn't. No, because Greg's eyes looked fine until they started.
later.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
And then they pull them in, and then she's like, I talked with
Rick.
I talked with Rick Grimes, and I'm ready. And Michonne's like, okay, come with. No. And then they're like, okay. Rick's ready to see you, and then, or just walk down the hallway,
and
or
then
some
they
crap
see
like that.
the name of the school. What's the name of the school?
School for the Blinds or something
Yep,
like
Janet
that. Like-
Tucker School for the Blind.
yeah. And
it's like-
and there's Braille, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, so the blind people are chilling with
Mhm.
this wind stuff.
Because Rick is blind, and Rick tells how the birds are to warn the sighted people. So this only affects people who can see.
yeah,
Because the blind people,
they're
they're
fine.
fine.
Yeah,
And not everyone in the community is blind.
there's some helpers.
The arch that's above, like in the
Yeah.
ceiling, has like been overgrown with
And plants.
with plants, and so there's light that comes through, but that's pretty much it. And then we see Dr. Lapham is back.
No, we forgot the part where Mallory says, "Boy, girl, you guys want to let the birds fly?"
Oh, that's true. That's
because
right.
there's a bunch of birds. And this is also another connection, I think, because it's 3 birds and there's 3 of them. So now they are free also.
So symbolism.
Yeah. So now they're
free.
They're free and they're safe
and how so Dr. Lapham asks who these children are, and they introduce themselves as boy and girl, and then Mallory says, "No, girl, your name is Olympia, named after the nicest woman I've ever met, and boy, your name is Tom." And I think that's stupid, but whatever. And then it's a happy ending.
Your name is Albus
Dumbledore. No,
Potter.
your name is Albus Severus, named after 2 of Hogwarts masters.
No, anyways, it ends at that. They get their names, and they're all happily ever after there. So,
I hate that ending.
Yeah, the ending was just like, I wish, it was like, at least, okay, the 2 kids could survive, but, like, not everyone.
I wanted, literally, this is how I envisioned the end going. Like, all of that, the kids running off, Sandra Bullock looks up, there's an opening, and then you see her eyes turn cloudy gray.
Oh,
that's
cool.
what I wanted this to end, was that she looks up, you think it's all happy, you hear the wind, and
I think you didn't like the ending because the movie was not that great. Because Quiet Place has a happy ending, but it's a good movie.
True.
So it works.
I think, I agree.
I think it doesn't help that this movie was okay.
I would not watch it again.
No, but it's good that we watched it, because all the memes were happening and stuff like that.
You know what?
But
I think the memes are somehow a marketing ploy. I think it's Netflix.
Theory.
Netflix has recently
is very smart.
on their social media, they've been getting really good with doing trends.
Yeah.
I think
they could have started this.
There might have been a bunch of bots might have communicated with all these meme pages and made this a meme.
Shane Dawson, if you're listening, we will send you this conspiracy
theory right here. Because why is this?
Now I'm going to tweet at Shane Dawson.
Why is this the most popular of the horror films? Why is this getting more meme coverage than like Bandersnatch?
Yeah, it's true. Bandersnatch is not getting much.
Exactly.
A lot more memes are coming out for this.
For Bird Box.
The beginning where they're driving around. Now there's like one with the Tokyo Drift music and stuff like that. It's like,
I'm thinking that this is somehow a marketing ploy because there's.
it wouldn't be the first time something like this happened.
But because this movie was okay. Like there's nothing exceptional about it.
I would say the beginning of the movie is pretty cool. I love that.
The chaos sequence?
The whole chaos thing. I was like, oh shoot, okay, what is gonna happen?
I mean, that reminds me of the ending of Infinity War. That's all. As I was watching it, all I could think of was like, okay, Thanos snapped. That's what happened. No, but like there were so many beats that were hit that are just like cliches at this point, right? This was just like The Happening. The whole supermarket was just like The Mist. The whole house sequence reminded me of This Is the End.
Well, I think they're trying to pull from movies that do well.
Exactly, but like Lil Rel when he's like "F it" and he runs, I thought he was gonna start yelling "Take your panties off" because Craig Robinson sacrifices himself the exact same way.
Yeah. But it's an okay movie, and
it's an okay.
It's still something you should watch just to see because Sarah Paulson's when she's in it, she does very well as her spot.
Watch it for Sarah Paulson.
Watch the first 15 minutes.
Watch it for BD Wong.
Like Sandra Bullock, watch it.
If you like Sandra Bullock, she's great in this. Sandra, you did very, very fantastic.
Yeah. There's a lot of foreshadowing in this movie and symbolism.
There's a lot of.
I really like that. This director, I don't know who it was. Mm-hmm. Maybe Sandra Bullock worked on it. I don't know.
She was an executive producer.
Okay, so they just someone in there just really liked symbolism and foreshadowing as a big
but
component.
Like the editing really pissed me off. I think it would have been better to have the same opening, with the river.
I want to know why this guy draws pictures, Greg. Why does he draw pictures?
The
That doesn't make
inconsistency
sense.
with the eyes, didn't like that. I like the beginning. If they had done the whole river and then done all of the flashback up until when she gives Olympia the Hello Kitty doll,
Yeah.
then they can go back and forth. I think it would have worked.
Okay.
But the fact that, and I'm not sure if the same guy who tries to get them to take off their blindfolds is supposed to also be Fish Fingers, but they kind of look similar. They might not be, but
well, one guy's like a super hillbilly. 'Cause he's
I
got
thought
hillbilly
I
clothes.
thought they both were. I don't remember.
No, because I
but
think Fish Fingers, man, he's wearing his clothes because he works in the fish area.
is he? I
he's
thought
wearing
he
a-
looked like
he's
he
wearing
was
a-
hillbilly stuff. I don't remember.
But
I mean, was it sweet, the ending where she names them Olympia and
yeah,
Tom?
it's cute.
I think it was kind of dumb because, like,
I knew she would name them that.
no, but like Olympia stresses how she wants to name her daughter Cinderella because she can name
Yeah,
her
but there's
Ella.
no
That
way.
would've
There's
been
no
cute.
way we would have remembered that. I didn't remember that she wanted to
Well,
name her
then
kid.
that's your fault. That's your fault.
But I knew she was
That's
gonna call the kid Tom. I was
That
for
was
sure.
dumb.
I knew that was. gonna
That
happen.
was dumb because like the boy's like, oh, you mean my dad that just died like 48 hours ago? Yeah,
He's like,
thanks.
yeah, I kind of remember.
Thanks,
him, don't worry.
Mallory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they still call her Mallory. But anyways, yeah. So good little review for that movie.
I mean, like, you know, it's on Netflix.
It's free to
And
watch if you have Netflix.
Is it all the rave? No. I mean, the fact that we have other movies coming out this year that I think will be so superior to
Does this
film.
count as a 2019 film?
No, this was released
No.
in 2018. We're
Oh.
reviewing it in 2019, but it's
So this
2018.
movie will stay in 2018.
it will stay like
So-
the previous year. Bye. Now,
Yes.
another thing that before we wrap up, we are going to be talking a little bit countdown to horror. At the end of every podcast, we're going to be mentioning the dates from the time you're watching this,
Let's
when
go.
this first airs, how far away we are from some of the iconic horror films of 2019.
Okay,
So
okay,
let's look
okay.
at the list. As of this recording, as of this being published, January 1st, 2019, we are 2 days away from Escape Room, which kind of looks
Ooh,
okay.
okay.
It's going to be a cool little, like, Saw-ish kind of film.
The girl from Daredevil's in that movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Karen Page.
Karen
She's
Page.
in this.
Yeah.
We are 17 days away from Split. Very excited for
Split.
that.
Mr.
Split.
Glass. Glass. Split.
Not we've already seen Split. Go see Split. 17 days away from Glass.
Ooh.
We are also 44 days away from Happy Death Day to You.
Ooh, okay.
73 days away from Us.
Let's go.
And 94 days away from Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, Pet Cemetery. We don't. What about It 2? Part 2.
That's in September. I'm just talking about. I'm gonna start talking. If I'm gonna do like 300 days
Yeah,
away,
yeah.
I'm only talking like the maximum is when we're 100 days away
Yeah.
because no movie deserves that much hype.
But Pet Cemetery. We didn't talk about Leprechaun.
We don't need to talk about Leprechaun.
All right. Well.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. What are your thoughts on Bird Box or everything that we talked about on this podcast? Let us know in the comment section down below.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to see further, support us on Patreon. Link is in
Yes.
the description down below. And again, share this. Like this. Share it again. Like it one more time. My name is Thomas.
My name is Mr. E.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.